Hello everybody, my name is Kate Olaf and welcome to my channel. In today's video, I'll be informing you as to why I just recently sold my car. As some of you know, I actually just moved to Tucson and so I'm now living on my own. However, I still work in Sahuarita and so I have to make the commute every single day. If you're not familiar with the area, from Tucson to Sahuarita is about a 35-minute drive. My previous car was a 2007 Kia Sportage. Mwah, she was beautiful. Again, I'm referring to it as a she, and more on that later in the video. But anyway, it was a great vehicle, but it took up way too much gas. For the past month, since living on my own, I was filling up on gas every 2 to 3 days with that car. And honestly, really, I didn't think too much of it until I did my budget. Once I did my budget, I figured out that I was going to be spending anywhere from $350 to $400 per month on gas. And this was going to be a problem for me because, as you know, I don't like to spend money. And at that moment was the moment that I figured there are way too many cars out there that are better on gas, and so I decided to sell the Karen. And here's the part of the video where I explained to you, as I was saying earlier, that the car was a she. We named the car Karen because of a really funny story. So my cousin Connor and I pull into a Fry's gas station. We are in the Karen at this point, and it was actually the first day that I got her. We were driving around doing some errands and figured it'd be best if we stop by the gas station just to get some drinks. So we get out of the car and we start walking towards the front door. Connor gets there first, and so he opens the door and kind of waits as there's a lady approaching the door. So naturally, Connor and I stand there waiting for the lady to walk in and go first. As she speed walks past us, without making eye contact, she rudely yells, "You need a mask on!" Connor and I stare at each other in disbelief, and I think one of us mumbled something along the lines of, "You're welcome for holding the door open." So instead of going inside the store and making matters worse, God forbid, we just went back to the car. And ever since that moment, we decided that Karen would be a fitting name for the Kia Sportage. Alrighty, all jokes aside, let's break down the numbers and see why I sold the Karen. So the first thing that we have to consider is the miles per gallon that the Sportage got. Take note that it was the 6-cylinder model, so that really doesn't help us in any way. With a quick Google search, we can see that at best the Karen got 25 miles to the gallon on the freeway. So now we have to figure out the miles within my commute. So from my house to my work, it is approximately 27 miles one way. This means that at the very least, I'm driving 54 miles every single day. And that's conservative, being that usually when I'm at work, I'll make some other errands or go look at houses, go meet with buyers, so I'm actually driving a lot more than 54 miles a day. But let's just keep it at 54 for the sake of this video. So now that we know the number of miles per day that I'm driving and the miles per gallon that the Karen gets, we now have to figure out the size of Karen's tank. With a quick Google search, we can see that the Karen had a decent sized tank that holds 17 gallons. So with conservative numbers, we can see that I was easily burning through 2 gallons of gas a day. So that then suggests that I should have been able to go 8 days without having the need to fill up. But remember, I'm driving a lot more than just to work and back. A whole lot more actually, being that I had to fill up every 2 to 3 days. So then this begs the overall arcing question of how much money am I going to be spending on gas each month? Well, if we assume that I have a full tank of gas at the start of the month and we're considering a 31-day month, and each tank costs me about $40 to fill up, and I'm filling up every 3 days, then I'm going to be spending a whopping $400 a month in gas. That's just insane. And so once I figured that out, I decided I had to sell the Karen. So this then brings up the question of what's my new car and how much money am I going to be saving? I originally bought the Karen for $3,600 and I was able to sell it for a profit at $4,300. I then bought a used Honda Civic for $5,500 cash, which is more than what I sold the Karen for, but allow me to explain. So the Karen averaged about 25 miles to the gallon, while my Civic averages 34 miles to the gallon. Now, when I do the math, both cars actually come out to the same amount of days that their tanks will last. Both suggest that I should be able to go about 8 days using conservative numbers. However, the tank in the Civic is about 4 gallons smaller, which means that it's going to be about $10 cheaper to fill. While driving the Civic over the last week or so, I've come to realize that I'll actually be able to fill up every 4 days rather than every 3. So when we calculate getting cheaper gas every 4 days throughout the same month, we can see that instead of paying $400 per month on gas, I'm actually going to be spending $210 a month. So even though I'm technically supposed to get the same amount of days with each car's tank, I get more bang for my buck with the Civic because the tank is smaller and the gas within the tank gets me a lot further. I can get what was going to be a $400 bill every month cut in half just by driving the Civic. If you watched my last video, then you know I talked about minimizing your monthly expenses. Well, this video is a perfect example of what I was talking about. By looking over my expenses and my budget, I can think of ways to minimize those expenses and save more money. That $200 that I'll be saving in gas can now go towards a repair budget for my new car or a grocery bill. I highly encourage you to look over your expenses and ask the question, how can I minimize them? Make sure to comment down below whether you think this was a smart move on my end, or if you think I should go out of my way and find another Karen. So that's going to do it for this video. Make sure to like the video if you like a Civic over the Kia Sportage. Make sure to comment on the video, subscribe to the channel. Subscribe. If you don't follow me on my socials, I'm posting there weekly, pretty much daily too on my Instagram, so make sure to go follow me there. You can find me at Kate Olaf everywhere. And as always, I'm Kate Olaf, and I will see you in the next one.